back just in time for the players heading into the game. So let's switch that scene and head in. I'm pleased to report that we do not have a mirror. We have Mongols versus Britons. So given that we will definitely be seeing a game 4, we will be seeing the reverse matchup with the players having to swap civs in the next game as well. Whoop opting for the Mongols in blue on the bottom right of the map, and yellow opting for Britons in red in the top left of the map. So let's take a look at those maps, and just looking at yellow's one to start off with, it immediately looks pretty amazing to me actually. Woodline's fantastic. Obviously it's partially a byproduct of this being a green Arabia rather than a desert style one. But Woodline's berries in the back, virtually impossible to hit with a Drush or Scouts. Probably will be Scouts considering he's playing against Mongols. And 2 back golds. Can easily probably get hold of this stone maybe, because this could be the direction that yellow pushes in. Not yellow, Whoop pushes in from if he forwards or anything like that. We've seen some players using Mongols to do forwards, taking advantage of the uptimes. Players like Mentalist, for example, I think he's been doing man at arms forwards with the Mongols instead of the usual scout rushes. But we see that Whoop is taking advantage of the Mongol scouting bonus to come across the map and do the first laming of today. Yellow says ... clearly unimpressed with these antics of the Whoop. He says good luck, and the important thing is that because Whoop chose to restart when there was no when his gold wasn't bugged in the previous game, like he asked for an admin restart, but like I basically messaged him and said that counted as your player restarts and no more restarts for you at this point. And that means that he can't call any restarts at all with this bore steel failing or anything like that, or if he lost his scout. But he managed to not lose his scout in the end, so probably not terribly annoyed at all of that. And now actually it's been evened up because yellow has just blundered straight into Whoop's TC, despite the fact that Whoop had kind of telegraphed the location of it, because that's where he was retreating his own scout to. But yellow also would have still had his restart in the bank if his boar had been stolen. Anyway, we haven't looked at Whoop's map yet. You see that again, Woodline's looking pretty good for him. Second one over here is not too bad either. Although the problem with these is that, like crossbows, especially with the Britons extra range, can fire over them pretty nicely. Gold wise, this back gold is really nice and safe. Should be safe even from Britain's crossbows unless they get to like here. But looking pretty open on the front. Nothing. It's pretty featureless actually. So potentially castle age raiding from the Britons player with those crossbows could be quite. Oh my god! He's going back for it with a 1 HP. Yellow's saying WTF. I'm not gonna spell all that out for you, but I'm sure you understand. He's so surprised to see Whoop going for it again, but this time he's not going to get away with it. What he can do though is just run away now and just completely delay that boar even more for yellow, so that he's not going to be able to to actually hunt it with his villager until it runs back. And it's still following. I can't believe how long it continued to follow. I thought he had stopped there. But as long as Whoop kind of turns away properly now, he's going to keep his scout alive on the 1 HP. And that's pretty genius. But in the end, Whoop's scout did die for its sins. Yellow finds this quite amusing. I think he's taking it well, but just so surprised. But after all those shenanigans, and with Yellow being the one who's very, very delayed, Whoop is going to go forward, so he's may not be doing Scout Soul, he may be doing the Mentalist style Mongol Man-at-Arms forward, or even towers, but he's not gone onto stone, so I don't think we're going to see full tower from him at all. Probably just going to do forward barracks. Might even do a more conventional forward of just skirmishes or something like that, because in order to do Man-at-Arms forward, you needed to be having his barracks down by this point and to be on gold, so it's probably just going to be a skirmisher and tower forward. Meanwhile, let's have a look at Yellow. He is at least on his way to the feudal age. Obviously was very, very delayed. 10 minutes, he still has 230 food on his second board, despite the fact that it wasn't technically stolen. It was merely lured away from his base twice, and he didn't manage to push any deer either, so pretty explicable delays for him there. And it means that Whoop is going to have some time plopping down those archery ranges and beginning to mass up units before Yellow can start really doing any reply of his own, and he certainly won't be able to deny this tower that's going to come up on the wood line. Fortunately for him, his map is pretty amazing, and he could just abuse that. But this archery range is going to get very, very delayed, and by that point Whoop could be on quite a decent number of units in his forward. No, Whoop didn't lose a bill, he just lost his scout. Still no archery range being completed for Yellow. He's going to do another one here a bit closer to his TC, but by this point Whoop has had his buildings up for a couple of minutes, producing units from both sets of buildings, and it's difficult to see how Yellow will be able to kind of mass up enough units to deal with Whoop. I mean, obviously he will have two archery ranges a bit faster, probably, if he finishes that one, and Britain's ranges work faster, of course, but even so, Whoop's head start in terms on this forward is going to prove pretty crucial. And what I'd like to know, really, is whether he was planning to do forward from the beginning, or whether he was going to do scouts, and then when he was able to interrupt Yellow's boar lure by about 5 minutes, basically, to delay it by about 5 minutes. I wonder if he changed his mind to go forward then. It'd be really interesting to know that, because if he did do that, then that would represent really good reading of the game and map awareness. So Yellow going to do one tower to try and protect his gold, which should be pretty successful if he manages to actually get the thing up, which currently is looking a bit in doubt, unless he actually just completely rushes it. But starting to get out decent numbers of units now. Again, 2 ranges plus the Britain's range work crate bonus versus 1 range has allowed him to catch up and to mass up the same number of units that Whoop has now. Even though Whoop's forward did have the advantage of speed and his opponent being up late, it's starting to feel like it's petering out a little bit in terms of losing power. Yellow's defense is looking pretty okay at the moment, even if it is losing a unit here or there. This is reminding me a lot of the first game where we saw this kind of extended Vil war plus skirmishes and some more spearmen and scouts on that occasion, going on for absolutely ages. This is interesting from Yellow. I thought he was going to go and just start. He's going to start mining all this stone with that number of villagers. So I wonder if I doubt he's thinking so much just purely about only counter towers, with he's sending that many more villagers to stone. Or is he going to transition some more of them away? No, he's going to keep them there. So probably going to get another tower on this this area just to seal out Whoop a little bit, but maybe he will then think about going offensive with his own towers in a bit. Blacksmith for Whoop, now getting up that second range. It seems like Yellow must have cut production for a while because suddenly Whoop has the greater numbers again. But purely skirmishers will do very well, of course, against the archers that Yellow has started to mix in, but vulnerable to tanking by the villagers that are rushing out. This wall is pretty nice for Yellow, getting this up whilst all that has been going on. It just prevents Whoop from changing the angle of attack and coming in from that direction, making this tower all the more effective in terms of establishing a kind of zone of control and a defensive perimeter. This could go really badly for Yellow if he's not lucky. Fortunately, he gets out of there without taking more than one casualty from his archers. But it does mean that Whoop's going to find kind of the back way in to this gold. He might even be able to park all those skirmishers here. Obviously, he'll take some damage in getting to there, but he could idle all the gold whilst he's doing that. These archers are in all kinds of trouble, should all get picked off. Not really too sure what Yellow was doing with those just then. Then this could also represent another good trap. Yellow actually taking quite a few unnecessary losses at this point, it feels. But gonna push out, try and do some damage over here. Whoop does not have the stone for an additional tower at this point, which means he won't be able to defend with a tower at home. He will be able to defend with the skirmishers that are chasing Yellow's army, but Yellow's army will get there maybe early enough to pick up one villager kill before it has to evacuate due to the skirmishers following hot on their heels. And Whoop is continuing to really mass up those skirmishers. He's got more army chasing Yellow's own army, and also a larger amount at this forward area as well. So they're getting to the point when they actually start to be really threatening. They actually do start to be really threatening to the villagers, considering that they are, even though they're doing next to no damage, the sheer number of shots that they're actually taking at the villagers, they can take them down in like 2 hits. And Whoop's also got a Vilbasher tower, which is going to take control of that area and deny Whoop from the stone. It means that Yellow's going to come out and try and power build this tower within range of the other one, which will help him out. But it does mean that Yellow is kind of losing some control there at the edge of his base. This army getting picked off as well, potentially by the skirmishers. That tower's going to get up, surprisingly, without any villagers going down, although we could still turn around and shoot that mill, one there potentially. Will be forced away though, just the sheer number of arrows coming out of the towers and all his units and villagers getting into the fray as well. Whoop can actually just fall back and try and take this stone if he wants to. Meanwhile, basically all of the archers over here went down. It seems both players took the fight, potentially not having any choice because they were also microing over here, so they just kind of left the units to fight it out. End result is that both players have almost all the units dead, so nothing massively decisive there. Probably the most important outcome of that fight is that Yellow did have half of that ball of units as archers rather than skirmishers, so they were potential candidates for being upgraded into crossbows later if they survived, but that wasn't to be the case. And Yellow's going to start shielding off his map pretty well now. Not going to be vulnerable to raiding anymore, so Whoop probably wants to cut skirmisher production, which he has actually done now. Few more units from Yellow trying to be produced backwards and then sneak out of this wall, but Whoop really intelligently placing some units here, or perhaps coincidentally, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it was intelligent. Placing some units there so that he knows that Yellow is on the trying to sneak around the map, trying to do some raiding. And he's going to chase after that with a ball of skirmishers, so I can't see them achieving too much. They're actually going to quick wall this all off with houses as well. And Whoop being the first player to click up to the castle edge, so despite creating all those food heavy units and such a massive skirmishes, he's actually first. You could argue that's because he was trying to make so many farms and collecting so much food and wood to keep that forward going, that by the time he cut production, he was then absolutely motoring in terms of food economy. Yellow, meanwhile, almost there, just 50 food to go. Well, 70, and then he'll be on his way, so a couple of minutes slower. He will be having there's maybe half a villager difference between the two players, so nothing major at this point. Yellow will go for a stable to help deal with all of the skirms that are on the field for Whoop. Just tiny engagements between small groups of units here, just pretty much amounting to one archer being picked off here and there. Both players are very much transitioning to the castle age here. Scale barding armor coming in as well for Yellow. And Whoop doing 2 forward stables, so he's going to go full knights as well, is he? Might mix in some camels once he sees that Yellow is making a few knights, although they will be kind of vulnerable to all the towers that are around. Scale binding armor for Whoop and gold mining coming in, so both players preparing to mass from stables at this point. Yellow's doing double stable as well, so we're going to see double stable play from both. It's exciting. Bloodlines, though, being a big difference between the two civilizations, with Britons not getting it. Yellow having a little bit of fun with Ack being rushed there and Whoop gets there first. Perhaps he was feeling that a little bit. Elite Skirmisher and Bodkin are also coming in for Whoop. The plus side of the kind of really delayed castle age that the players were going for after the heavy feudal war is that you've got a large villager count and generally all your eco upgrades done, so that when you're on the way to the castle age and you're not spending as many resources, you've arrived there and you can just buy everything. Seems Whoop definitely is going to go for a camel or two, because I will assume that he's seen the stable, he's seen at least one stable of Yellow, so he knows that Yellow's thinking about knights, and also he can kind of predict that, because when you make so many skirmishes yourself, your opponent will almost invariably make some knights once they reach the castle age to deal with that. The other thing going on for Whoop is that I think he's trying to gather the stone to make a castle as well, so skirmishers plus a few knights, and then drop a castle somewhere. He might even try and move around and do it somewhere here perhaps, which would be pretty nice. I think that would be arguably the best spot that he could do it, but the question is whether he is sneaky enough to get around there and do it. Oh, my voice. Take a drink of water. Yeah, my throat's getting a little bit raw after 2 solo casts in about 18 hours. Because I was doing games last Goku vs Winchester last night as well. Not too many stable units being produced from the stable just yet. Still seems to be biding his time, waiting for the stone to get that castle in, and not really having much food to continue producing from all the stables at this point. Meanwhile, Say My Name, or VNS Yellow, is massing knights in both stables. He's currently got 10, gonna have 12 in any moment, so he's gonna have a huge, really powerful army here, considering 12 knights plus all of those Britain's crossbows as well are gonna be just virtually impossible for Whoop to deal with what he has out in the field at the moment. Only one camel, a bunch of skirmishers that will go down to the knights like paper, and Yellow's also going to be able to take the hill bonus with his crossbowmen. He's under the tower, but that barely even matters at this point. And now Whoop chooses to try and get some more units onto the field, but I think he's made a mistake in not producing many units when he got to the Castle Age. He had a big advantage, and it kind of feels a bit squandered now, because I think like he was camped outside the base, he had more military, did double stables, got to the Castle Age first, and I think he could have just been producing units constantly, waited for that stone all the same and then done the castle, but he got a bit greedy, did another town centre without massing army, and now he's really just paying for it. He's lost all of this stuff, lost all the army, all the skirmishers, everything that was in the stables, lost the tower, lost the villagers, lost the map control, probably lost the ability to ever drop that stable aggressively, and now he's going to be just playing for the late game, because he's just so far behind, being so far behind a Britain's player at this point. He's basically got to survive until the Imperial Ages, until he gets Mongols like Siege Ram and stuff like that, because Britain's player is going to be running rings around him now. And he did get enough stone in the bank for that castle. They also have a market, so maybe he manipulated the market a tiny little bit to finish it off. Gonna try and build that castle, but a lot of villagers are gonna potentially go down unless they all jump inside the TC, but these ones jumping in the TC whilst the ones on the left continue to build, and the castle will go up. So not a terrible loss for Whoop there, but he's already lost a lot in this forward area, and now VNS Yellow is going to be able to take all the map control, apply pressure where he wants, and Whoop just has no possibility to really defend in places where he doesn't have the castle, because army presence on the map is just next to nothing, just a handful of skirmishers really, and a few knights and camels here, which look like they're going to clean up some stuff. So fair enough, I was slightly underestimating his army presence, but even so, it's not a lot. And right now, Yellow is going to be looking to do damage over here with knights and crossbows. I think this decision to run under the castle here was a bit of an odd one. Looks like Yellow is going to take more map control, so saying good quick wall on his house to make sure he gets the TC up, bringing his knights back and moving his crossbows out of harm's way for now. So, looking at the populations and such, villagers are more or less the same at this point. Both players on a high villager count after they went up to the feudal age, sorry, to the castle age, and almost 50 villagers anyway, after the extended feudal fight. So the kind of transition from being one TC into booming off multiple TCs isn't really seeing them jumping up massively from, like, you know, 35, 40 mils, and then they start booming and quickly accelerate to 100. It's more a case that it's a race from 60 or so to 100. And Whoop is actually adding in Castle Age Mangudai to try and do some raiding here. And probably because it's also the only safe place he can build military from at the moment is in that castle at home. Like, his stables and his archery ranges are surrounded by Yellow's units, so in order to just be building some military at least, he's actually just producing Mangudai from the castle at home. They have no armour upgrades right now, although they do have bloodlines and bodkin, but still no armour means that they're in small numbers. They're just going to be shredded any time they go near crossbows. Whoop's going to have to micro those really well. He's actually going to go for the second castle just to try and take more map control and to get more Mangudai production capability, but Yellow's coming for him, and he's also kicked up to the Imperial Age, whereas Whoop is on Naught food. So remains to be seen. Like, both players sitting next to each other, not really engaging here. Whoop is going to go back because he has a slightly less powerful army at that point by the looks of it, with the Mangudai and knights versus knights and crossbows. Plus, with the castle being imminently about to go up, doesn't want to stand under it, but Probably more concerned considering he's up really fast. Well, not really fast, but he knows he's up. He's probably more concerned with just taking his army home, not losing it, getting those Imperial Age upgrades in. Because he'll want to be pushing fast when he reaches the Imperial Age, with those taking advantage of Britain's early Imperial Age with Arbalest and stuff. Seems he's coming over here to kind of hide his army. Might also be checking that this is definitely walled, like walled by the forest, so to speak, to the edge of the map, but also seems to be hiding his army. King Mangudai here doing some raiding on the woodline. And yellow is gonna go for that castle at the bottom of the hill, which is good in terms of map control, shielding this gold and the entrance to his base, but it also means he must be confident that he's up first and that he will be having a head start in the Treb War anyway. So yellow hitting the Imperial Age now. What's his move going to be? Does he do a trebuchet straight away? Yes, he does. Presumably going to get Arbalest as soon as he can. Also adding in an extra siege workshop and starting to mass around him. So we'll see capped round from him. Arbalest now being clicked. Whoop is on the way to the Imperial Age, but by the time he gets there, yellow will have been in the Imperial Age for at least 3 or so minutes, which will amount to several trebuchets. Whoop's actually going to do a second castle on the hill, so he might not lose both of them by the time he actually gets to imp. In fact, he may not lose either one, because one trebuchet shooting from downhill not going to be massively powerful. And if he can keep those castles alive, then when he gets Imperial Age with 2 castles there, plus the third one back at home, he'll be able to do multiple trebuchets and produce Mangudai or get Elite Mangudai upgrade. And I feel like there's that, getting that second castle on that hill, and maybe if he just manages to keep it alive for the next couple of minutes, could be a big turning point in terms of staying in the late game. Nonetheless, saving those castles on the hill won't necessarily amount to much, because his home is so vulnerable, being shielded only by these flimsy wooden building walls, only having 1 castle, and not really having the military to deal with Britain's Arbalest at this point. Arbalest with Bracer, and especially if chemistry comes in as well, knights will just melt, especially with only +1 armour. So castles on the hill, potentially a really good thing for him if he manages to keep them both alive for the next couple of minutes, but will he still have the base at home? That is the question. This additional castle at home will have a big impact though, because it will keep a lot more of his economy alive. Yellow with 3 trebuchets downhill from there, but he does have 2 of his own to start to unpack, to start sniping down that castle, and he can just run in with the Mangudai and destroy all of the trebs really quickly, so that castle may survive. It has actually survived, and I think this is a really big blow for yellow now. I mean, he's still in a great position because he's still got better units with the Arbalest pushing at the base here, but Elite Mangudai is actually done for Whoop. So at this point, Rams, and once the upgrades especially start to kick in for the Mangudai, the Arbalest don't really cut it anymore. Whilst they have the extra range and they have Bracer and chemistry versus Mangudai without Bracer and only +1 armour, then yeah, they can cut it. But once the Mangudai start to get upgraded, it will start to look pretty dicey. These Arbs not really being put to the greatest use whilst yellow focuses on this area. Would have been really good for him if he'd have been multitasking at that point, like handling this but also trying to do some more damage with the Arbalest. Now they're shooting at villages, which is what you want to see. But I think that in the last couple of minutes, as I was talking about, with these castles on the hill staying alive and Whoop having a lot of castles on the map, it's suddenly starting to look very good for him after it was looking very, very dicey with Yellow being able to get up to the Imperial Age. I think the key thing for Yellow is that if he had 2 castles already on the map so he could produce trebuchets 2 at a time, he could have broken that hill and turned the game. But with only the 1 castle and it being downhill and within treb range of trebs deployed by this castle, it really meant that he couldn't win the treb war despite having been to the Imperial Age a couple of minutes faster. And this castle as well seems a little bit dodgy. I think it's just too close to this hill. And these Arbalests could begin to be in trouble if caught out by all these Mangudai. Mangudai will take some substantial losses, especially downhill, but being cleaned up so quickly, the rate of fire of Mangudai is just disgusting. But decent catch with all these skirmishers, taking down half a dozen Mangudai as they run past. Looks like Yellow is going to continue to prepare rams, despite the fact that Mangudai do tear them up pretty quickly. He's probably going to need it to help tank as well as elite skirmisher. This is could represent a lot of lost villages here if Whoop doesn't see it quickly. But even so, as those elite Mangudai moving on the gold, that could be... Yeah, Whoop's seen this. Wonder how many villages could get caught out here. This is going to be absolutely huge raid, because with the speed of the Mangudai and the fact that they can chase after the villas, this could be 15 villages down for Yellow in no time. I wanted to change to his point of view just to do fog of war and see if he could see the other side of this wood line, to go and chase those down too, but he couldn't actually see the villages on the other side of the tree line. And now he's going to be chased away, but that's the advantage of Mangudai. They're so fast, and then if villagers get caught out by them, they can, with the rate of fire that they have, they can just slaughter everything and be out of there in moments. So Yellow preparing another push, this time with 2 more trebuchets and a whole bunch of capped rams. Going to try and push up against this castle, but those trebuchets are in a position where Mangudai can just go down there and shoot from uphill and take them down. Token misclick cav archer mixed in there. Always amusing, but this could be another good number of vills if Yellow actually pauses and starts shooting. I heard a relic being picked up then. I'm on Whoop's point of view, so it must be Whoop taking the relics. But those Mangudai doing what I said and just easily taking down the trebs, but meanwhile the skirms aren't really being microed, so they're shooting at the ram that Whoop had mixed in, but now that the ram has gone down, all the Mangudai dying. Still, I think that's a decent trade for Whoop. He's lost a lot of Mangudai, but took out all the trebuchets, and it's going to help him keep this castle alive. Not terrible numbers of casualties over here. Whoop doing a really good job of securing the map, rather like his compatriot Yo, just building random castles and taking the extra resources. Yellow's push on this castle that has been aflame this whole time will fail with the last ram going down with just 351 HP left. But Whoop losing a ton of Mangudai there to elite skirmishers is never the best idea. And finally we can see the end of this castle with 1 more trebuchet deploying from Yo. From Yo, not talking about. I was just talking about Yo when I was talking about Whoop, but now I think Yellow's as well. From Yellow, not Yo. Whoop just pausing to remass some Mangudai now. It's kind of surprising to see him not maybe adding in some hussars or something like that to help, because Yellow's composition is so skirmisher heavy that Mongol hussars would do really great against them. I mean, he's not quite floating tons of food, but he's certainly got a bit in the bank and actually laying down more farms, which could be signalling his intention to actually do those hussars. Yeah, light cavalry on the way and iron casting, so he's definitely doing it. Adding down a stable. Yeah, Whoop 30 idols for a long time now. It's been this. He basically hasn't fixed this. Light cav rating starting to come out from Yellow, so kind of anticipating the Mongol player doing his own Hussar raiding and trying to beat him to it with the Britain's light cav, but they're obviously so much less effective. Okay, Whoop has kind of fixed that, at least sending the gold miners back, but it hasn't ungaused the TC. I think that's really compromising his ability to add in the Hussars. Once again, going to do a Mangudai raid to get rid of the Trebs and preserve his castles. That's all he needs to do, and then he can just get out of there. Yellow preparing some kind of siege push here to try and stop Whoop from gathering this stuff. He's partially fixed this now, but he's still got 10 idols on a farm. Those guys aren't moving, haven't moved for a long time. Yellow continuing to push with, or to prepare to push with more and more rams. I feel like he needs to wait and not have like 5 rams. I think he needs 10, 15 rams ready to push in. Especially as Whoop is starting to add in some siege of his own. But I think with the light cav appearing on the scene and soon to be Hussar, once Whoop fixes his farming economy, look at this, okay, he's actually doing it. It's starting to get to the point where it's a bit too late for the Britons once the mixed Mangudai and Mongol Hussar composition is there, especially with a bit of siege to back it up. Like, Yellow needs to act quickly, I think. Even though he's been doing a great job of idling Whoop and stopping him from pushing and even pushing him back to a degree, like gaining partial control of that plateau, I think he needs to push more. So right now Whoop is the person taking all the extra gold on the map as well. He's actually finished mining that out. I don't know if either player sees this one. No, Whoop doesn't see it. Yellow doesn't see it either. Yeah, just going on to Yellow's economic view now, he doesn't actually have a miner on the field, so he's full trash at this point. Doesn't have a monastery, so he doesn't have any relics, and as I was saying before, Whoop is controlling what little extra gold remains that he can actually see, and did also take some relics earlier, so we're looking at a Mongol player with gold versus a Britain's player without gold now, so Yellow is going to be so up against it. He's pushing pretty nicely on the right here with some capped rams and skirmishers, but his main problem is going to be this, how he deals with this ball of Mangudai. Getting pikemen as well to try and deal with the light cavalry and eventual Hussar transition that Whoop is doing. Still maintains the score lead for now, probably a little bit to do with economy, I would say. In terms of he's probably been gathering more food and wood and stuff over the course of the game. He had a lot less idle. But we could also check from where that score lead comes from once it calms down a little bit. Because he doesn't have the KD in his favour. Although he has mostly been killing more expensive units. So raiding is just starting to happen all over the place now. It's getting tough to keep track of. But I think Whoop is basically just preparing his death push now, trying not to lose his Mangudai, waiting until he's got the things that he wants, and trying not to suffer too much at the hands of Yellow's raiding in the meantime. See Yellow's gold count jumping up quite a lot there. He's definitely using the market quite a lot, I think. Can actually check that. I think. Yeah, Yellow's have sold 3,000, well, about 4,000 resources. He actually sold 500 stone. Good raiding coming in here in the north with these light cabs. I'm surprised not to see the Hussar upgrade by this point. This is looking pretty dicey though for Yellow now, because probably going to lose this castle that he has protecting the entrance to his base soon. I don't see how he can deal with this trebuchet. Mangudai on the hill is just an absolute nightmare to deal with, and doesn't really have enough army here in this location, but will do once a huge ball of skirms comes back. That's why I think Whoop just does need to concentrate on massing up those light cabs and getting the Hussar upgrade sooner than he is doing. I'm surprised not to see that. I'm surprised not to see Siege Ram from him. I don't know what's stopping him from getting those things at the moment, because his farming economy looks pretty decent, you know? That looks like cap ram in there rather than back string ram, but one random light cab just terrorising the back of the farming eco here. Really, I think Whoop is kind of labouring to finish this, just because he's not getting in the technology, like military technology, that he really needs to finish it off. We're continuing to just pause on this hill, try and mass up, try and get the things he needs. Still not getting any more siege weapons. Like, I'm just so surprised he's not getting that siege ram upgrade and then thinking about drill. Just the combination of the Hussars and the Mangudai, I keep saying it, could finish it, especially backed up with some Mongol siege rams with the drill upgrade. Right now, Yellow is kind of making sure to keep his massive trash high, but he can never really push, especially uphill without the heavy siege and without really being able to produce trebs because his goal is lacking so much. Thought he was going to try and kill that trebuchet with just skirmishes there, just by sheer quantity of arrows. Heard another relic being picked up. Awesome on Whoop's point of view, so he's probably going to get a second one. A lot of Whoop's light cav going down there. Not really enough fire support from the Mangudai, and those skirms are actually doing a pretty good job now. Like Whoop's still definitely. Sorry, Yellow is still definitely in with a chance in this, whilst he retains a large number of villages and keeps his economy working and unraided. I'd like to see perhaps slightly more than 90 villages, maybe about 105, 110, especially to, or maybe even slightly more, especially to ensure that he can continue to sell some resources for gold at the market, even if the price ends up being terrible, just to make sure he can back it up with siege. Like, as long as he can afford some siege and just keep his army numbers really high, he definitely can push, because Whoop is just being too slow to get the upgrades that he needs. He's missing Parthian tactics for his Mangudai. He hasn't got siege ram, he hasn't got Hussar, he hasn't got drill. Yeah, an Onager would be amazing rod for Whoop right now. Indeed, imagine an Onager shot into there with the hill bonus. Even the Mangonel could get the really big shot. But Whoop is losing all his Mangudai now, and not actually firing with the Mangonel does nothing when it could have taken out 20 skirmishers. This fight is, I mean, yes, he's killing the Trebs, but it's just the delay. Whoop Yellow from pushing at the cost of a ton of Mangudai. Can still mine some over here, and he doesn't know about this gold, but just throwing away Mangudai at a time when there's not much gold on the map, it just doesn't seem wise to me. Yellow's doing a nice job of parking up some Hussars there, actually, some halberdiers there in the only gap in his wall, and Yellow continues probably to use the market to get a treble 2 out, maintains a really high army, and it really is starting to feel like the tide is turning. I was talking so much from the perspective of waiting for Whoop to get the stuff he needed to actually end this game, and he just hasn't done it, and he's just wasted it. And now I feel like Yellow has the greater momentum just because Whoop was so I don't even want to say passive, because he wasn't being passive whilst getting the stuff that he needed. He was just not really advancing through the game because he wasn't getting anything in terms of upgrades. He was just sitting here, wasn't massing army, wasn't doing upgrades. And now it's looking very precarious from him. I mean, the Hussars as well, like missing upgrades too. No blast furnace. I think Mongols get blast furnace anyway. Maybe I'm wrong on that. And right now, Whoop has lost 2 castles. Only has 1, 2, okay, 3 left on the map to produce from. But none of them are in very aggressive locations. They're all very spread out, so being very vulnerable to Whoop pushing against them with just a ram train. Loads of eco-eyed arcades fixing that now. And this is looking pretty dicey for Whoop. I mean, look at his population. Yellow maxed out on almost 200 if he builds another house. Whoop down to 130. Only 20 army on the map. And he's got 1,000 food in the bank, which he could have, you know, if he had done Hussar earlier, then he could make lots of Hussars with that. But he's just wasted all his gold without getting the upgrades that he needs. And right now he's in the position where he's playing against the Britain's player who only has food really crappy light cabs, and he's making not fully upgraded light cabs of his own instead of Hussars. I mean, obviously they get a Mongol HP bonus still, but like, Whoop could be in so much better position here. Trying to do some raiding to try and turn the tide a little bit, but I'm gonna guess that Yellow actually has decent resources in the bank. Floating a lot of wood. His food eco's a bit like teetering on the edge, especially with this disruption that's going on, but he can afford to spam farms somewhere else. And he's going to move forward, start trebbing down this castle from uphill, and with a second treb that will happen really fast. And Whoop just doesn't have army. That's no army. 115 bills and no army. So we've gone from a point where we're sitting here with 2 castles, a whole bunch of elite Mangudai, versus a Britain's player who didn't have a castle, and didn't really have any siege or anything like that, was basically full skirm, and had no gold, and Whoop had all the gold on the map. And Yellow has pushed up the hill, taken down all the castles, taken control of the hill, and is now pushing down the other side and laying waste to Whoop's base with no gold. It's astonishing.
Ready.
And I have to say that although I am criticising Whoop for his just pondering really, and being very ponderous in the middle of the game and not doing what he needed to do, very well played to Yellow, because he's done the things that he needed to do. He's massed his army up really high. He's kind of pushed in when he's needed to stop Whoop from laying siege to him, and then retreated and remassed when he's had to. He's kept his villager numbers high. He's walled up, for the most part. It had a little bit of a gap here, but not too much going on. Like, he's not necessarily walled up, but what he's done is created a shield across the map with his units, so that Whoop couldn't just charge in from all directions and raid the hell out of him. Kept his economy running, used the market, and got just enough gold to add the siege that he needs to lay siege to the castles of Whoop. And as I was saying, like, Whoop's castles are now, he's got a few left, but they're dotted around the map in different places, completely isolated and vulnerable to being sieged, which is what's happening over here. Like, one single treb and 20 trash units, and that's just remaining castles for Woot going down. So Mangudai production is going to be gone for him, because I think he's going to be down to this one last castle. And of course, at this point, not mining gold anymore. And I think we're actually at the point now where Yellow feels so secure with resources in the bank. He's deleting villagers. He's gone down to 80 villagers, because it doesn't even matter to him. He's pot maxed, he's got resources in the bank, and he just wants more army to keep pushing. And GG. Very well played by Yellow. I have to feel like Whoop could have won that game, had everything in his hands, and just didn't upgrade his units and mass the right type of push, and threw it away. But Yellow still had to come back and win that game. And he did that very emphatically. Very well played by him. Show the achievements quickly. We're going to see that in terms of resources collected, like Yellow collected 10,000 more wood, but food more or less the same with 2,000 more gold. It wasn't even like Whoop died because he had so much less resources. He was just wasting, I think. Wasting expensive units